Let me find the YouTube link again quickly. Ba, 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 da, ba, 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 ba.
We might as well just start the show again.
No, because we've got a listener.
Oh, have we?
Yeah,
Oh, right. Who's listening?
Dan Mallinson.
Who's that? He sounds Scottish.
Well, I think he is partly Scottish.
Oh, right. Well, that's great. Well, that's good. We need to get him involved in the show somehow to
Yeah,
keep him
definitely.
entertained. Are we ready? Are we live?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Let me just go live now.
okay.
Oh, we're live.
We're live. We're already live.
We're hyper
That's
live.
great. So, apologies for that, folks. We were having some teething problems. This is, of course, the first ever twat.
Yeah.
But we were acting like a bit of a twat. But not to worry, we're here now, and we're ready to talk about Scotland. So, what were we saying before? I'll tell you what, forget that. Let's move on. Let's move on to Twitter, because there's a lot of tweets coming in at the moment, and I'm sort of managing. I've been tasked with managing the social media this evening. So we've got Nara Hodge. I don't know where she's from. She's from Whitney. It's Nara Hodge from Whitney.
Oh, that's great.
So that's quite local to where I used to live. So anyway, she says, surreal feeling to witness the history unfolding in front of your eyes. I completely agree. To be part of it, albeit as a passive participant. Hashtag Scottish Referendum. Well, I do sympathise because I'm not Scottish, but I'm here, and I'm here talking about it with my colleague. And I think it's something that needs to be discussed. I think it's good that everyone can take their mind off of negative things like ISIS, for example. What do you think about ISIS?
Well, I think we're going to come on to ISIS later in the show.
Right, let's do that later.
Islamic State, as they are now known.
Yeah.
So we'll put that on the back burner. Obviously, they like burning people's backs, and other less than acceptable methods of torture. So we'll come back to ISIS, but on the subject of Scotland, have you seen that picture of CNN that came up on CNN?
Yes, I have, and this folks was relating to the they've released a 58% increase, or a 58% to 52% ratio in the votes, and that's 58% swayed to the yes vote, which is quite interesting because CNN is, of course, an American broadcaster, and basically they're probably just talking a load of rubbish, and they probably just made it up, and it's probably just American sensationalist news.
So Josh, let's throw something up here, but not literally.
Yeah.
If Scotland was to leave the UK, which three things about Scotland would you miss, and which three things would you want?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I would certainly miss Andy Murray. He's a great friend of mine, and I'd miss what's that Scottish shortbread?
Oh, shortbread.
You know, the one with the hot. Oh yes, yeah, shortbread. Yeah, I'd miss that. Actually, I never eat that, but I'd still miss it. And the other thing I'd miss is well, that's probably it, actually. What about you?
Well, I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I think
right.
I can tell you what I wouldn't miss, and
What's
that would be having to sit through the Scottish football results. Desperately hoping they finish, because that's just how it is. And do you know what I wouldn't miss?
What's that?
It's related to Andy Murray. It's having to support Andy Murray, because I actually quite like Andy Murray, but I feel like I have to support him. But I feel like that's cultivated over a number of years, and I feel like I could have saved myself a lot of trouble by not doing that in the first place. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a bit of a letdown, and also he's very pro-independent Scotland, Even though at the last Wimbledon, the one where he did really well, he had the nation behind him. And the thing is, if he didn't have the nation behind him, he probably wouldn't have won Wimbledon.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It's like we won it. We won Wimbledon for him.
I know exactly what you mean, and I probably wouldn't miss the bagpipes. I mean, does anybody really like the bagpipes? I don't think Scottish. Mel Gibson certainly doesn't like the bagpipes.
No. I've just seen a tweet from Nikki Sweeney. She's based in... Oh, well, it doesn't say where she's based, but anyway, she says, just watching the BBC live coverage from a polling station, bit worried I can see photocopiers in the background. Ooh. Hashtag Scottish referendum.
Oh. No.
What do you make of that?
There's not really much more to add, to be honest. Yeah. That sort of speaks for itself, doesn't it? So anyway, I think we should move on from Scotland for the time being, because Scotland's going on all night, and it's going to be going on for the next decade or so, in my eyes.
Well, it's probably yeah. Well, until ISIS comes along, but yeah, we'll move on to ISIS later.
Exactly. I mean, even if Scotland becomes independent, they've got a good few years until all the oil runs out, and then everybody's going to be coming for them.
That brings me back to my my point I was going to mention earlier before we went off air, which was that Scotland claims that they've got all this oil, but the thing is, it actually belongs to the Shetland Islands, or it could potentially. And the Shetland Islands have now come out and said, we're thinking if Scotland becomes independent, then we might try and claim independence as well. so that means that basically Scotland will end up really poor. and the Shetland Islands will have all of this. Will have loads of oil.
Yeah, but the Shetland Islands don't have an army. If that happened, Scotland would just invade them. They'd just crush them.
Well, what are they going to do?
Yeah, but the Shetland Islands aren't like a member of NATO, and they probably never will be. So, like, no one's going to back them up. They're just going to let Scotland take all the oil back off of them, surely.
Well, that's like the Falkland Islands all over again.
Well, it is, but it isn't. I mean, that's got a lot more sort of moral implications to do. I mean, if the Shetland Islands... They're not going to let the Shetland Islands have independence. It's not going to happen. It's not even worth thinking.
No, it's all a bit silly, right? I mean, this whole thing's been a bit silly, but it is for a good cause, we think. I'll tell you what isn't, though, ISIS, but we'll come on to that later. Let's move on to ISIS. Let's talk about ISIS, because it's been in the news a lot recently. It sort of came out of nowhere in June of this year. Now, ISIS are a pretty awful terrorist group, as we all know. They cut people's heads off, and they go around murdering innocent people, women and children, which is a terrible, terrible thing. But what are we going to do about it? And what's David Cameron going to do about it? Because at the moment, he's not really done anything about it. All he's done is agreed with Barack Obama, and Barack Obama hasn't done anything about it yet. So what are we doing?
Well, they are sending in airstrikes from the US, but I guess I think the problem David Cameron has is he doesn't want to be seen as the new Tony Blair.
No, I know, this is the thing.
Because he's basically based his entire political campaign on not being Tony Blair. So he's kind of in a bit of a tricky situation. Oh, hang on, we've got a special guest peering into the room here.
Who's that? Who's that?
On ISIS.
Oh, it's Harry. Oh, it's Harry Newbold.
Oh,
what's he doing? Where's he gone?
Oh, he's gone. That was the end of the ISIS correspondent. I think this is the problem David Cameron's having, because he doesn't want to be the new Tony Blair, because he's based his entire election campaign on not being Tony Blair and Gordon Brown. So he knows the right thing to do is probably to back up Barack Obama, because basically the whole world hates ISIS. Even the Muslim countries don't like ISIS. Syria hate ISIS, and they've even got Syria in their title. You know what I mean? So they're all for that, but he doesn't want to go getting involved in that because it's kind of being a hypocrite, whatever. But you know.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that.
The thing
I
that makes
find it.
you laugh about ISIS is it. Have you seen that video there? These flames of war.
Yeah.
Right, and it's just so badly produced. It's like what is it? It's like a trailer for a Hollywood film, but it's more like a trailer for a Steven Seagal film. It's just it's just incredibly bad. But you know,
starring Steven Seagal.
Yeah, but apparently ISIS assets are worth $2 billion US, right?
Who says that?
Well, that's just speculated. They have assets worth $2 billion US.
Well, no, they probably do because they've just taken.
Well, they just rob loads of banks. That they do. But anyway, like that's their speculated assets.
Yeah.
And they didn't put any money into the production of that film. I mean,
No.
It literally just looks like a trailer to a bad action movie, and it's like, what's it for? What's the purpose of it?
Yeah, but the thing is, Ryan, I mean, like they've got all this money, but like there's nothing to sort of spend it on because they've got no personnel.
Yeah, well, that's my point. If they've got nothing to spend it on, they should at least spend it on better production for their sort of weird trailer to their.
No, but that's what I mean. No, but that's what I mean. You've kind of hit the nail on the head with ISIS in that no one likes it, so no one wants to work for them.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to want to land their first media role at ISIS?
Well,
perhaps Chris Eames might.
Yeah, but that won't be a good career move for you.
Yeah.
I think you'd work for ISIS.
I think you're wrong.
No, I don't.
Oh right.
They've got $2 billion US worth of assets, Josh, and they're spending no money on the production of their films, which is like their main propaganda. So think what you could do if you were in charge of their social media. You'd have a Facebook page. You'd be getting affiliates. You'd be brokering deals with McDonald's, Audi, all the major Western companies.
Let's move on. Let's not talk about me because this new show isn't about me. It's about the world at 10 or 11 as it now is. I noticed something today when I was looking up Iran's view on ISIS because obviously Iran is an Islamic state, and I noticed that their army is called the Armed Guardians of the Islamic Revolution. Well, are they not really annoyed that ISIS are now claiming to be the new Islamic State with this new Islamic revolution? Do you see what I mean?
Well, everyone's annoyed about it.
Well, that's what. Yeah, but even Iran are annoyed about it.
Everyone's annoyed about it.
Yeah.
They're kind of like I'm trying to think of a good analogy, but I just can't right now.
I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, well,
I know the analogy that you're trying to think of.
That's the most important thing.
We'll come back to that analogy because I think that would be good to touch upon later on.
Do you know what it's a bit like? Actually, I've got a very weird analogy. When I was in primary school, we started a new term. I must have been about 5 years old, and there was these brand new rubbers in the centre of the table, and like everyone got a rubber. Oh no, everyone could use the rubber or something, and for some unknown reason, I just bit the rubber in half.
Yeah.
And then the teacher said, unless somebody owns up to who's bit the rubber in half, you're all going to lose a gold star. And as soon as she said that, I admitted to it. But ISIS is like me if I didn't admit to it. So everyone knew it was me, but no one wanted to say it was me. This is a really bad analogy, but I'm trying. This is the best I can do. Do you know what I mean? ISIS are the country that bit the rubber and didn't admit to it.
I think I know what you're saying. I've got to go back onto Scotland again because I was thinking earlier. You know, Scotland are trying to be the new Scandinavia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they're desperate to be like Finland, but the problem is, Finland have loads of good racing drivers, and Scotland only have Colin McRae. But the only problem is Colin McRae's dead.
Yeah. Well, he died in a helicopter accident.
Yeah. Well, you can blame the Scottish weather for that.
Well, you certainly can't blame the Finnish weather because he wasn't even there.
No, no. Anyway, let's move on. What do you think of the late first Baron of Dunfermline?
Who's that?
Well, I don't really know.
Oh.
I was thinking earlier, what's going to happen to the National Lottery? And we were talking about this before the show, because if Scotland becomes independent, what are the National Lottery going to do? It's no longer it is still the National Lottery, but if they want to include Scotland, are they going to have to call it the International Lottery?
Yeah, they probably won't. They'll probably just sack them off. Like, that's what everybody else seems to be doing. They're like, no, you can't use the pound. No, you can't do this. Like, even RBS are like relocating to London. They're the Royal Bank of Scotland. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It seems that like if there's a yes vote, then everyone's jumping ship, even the Scottish companies, because they know that there's more money to be had down in England rather than no disrespect to Scottish people, but Scotland is just a broken country. I mean, look at the Scottish Football League. That's like a microcosm of the country as a whole. It's just not good anymore. Back in the day when Alex Ferguson was leading Aberdeen to like European titles and that sort of thing, and Henrik Larssons of this world were going north of the border. It was a lot of prosperity, but now it's just nothing.
It is, and it was all started by Rangers, and we know whose fault that is. I won't name names, but it was Callum Peaston. Let's move on, because all the tweets are flooding in now. It's getting to that time of the day, or the night, I should say. But Emma Maria has just tweeted in, too excited about hashtag Scottish referendum to sleep. I hope it's a yes, but it'll probably be a no. And I think she that sort of emphasises what you were saying earlier about how it's rigged. I don't know if you could elaborate on that for the viewers, because I think it's an interesting point that you've raised, and I'm sure they'd like to know more.
Well, I can't say much more than I've already said, but I'm just convinced that the British government have rigged it because.
Yeah, but why? Why is the question?
Because Scotland holds 60% of the EU oil.
Oh my God! Newsflash: Alexis Sanchez has just quoted about the Scottish referendum.
Oh really? What's he saying?
He says, "Faith through unity, unity through faith." Hashtag Scottish referendum.
Yeah, but I think a lot of Spanish people have been commenting on this, and you know why?
Hang on though, it's not the actual Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah, but I think a lot of Spanish people have been commenting on it. You know what it is? It's to do with Gibraltar.
Yeah, I think I can see what. I would agree with that.
Scotland as a proxy to get back at any people that think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure a smaller number of that is happening in Argentina, but not as much.
Oh, mate, people from Sunderland are tweeting in. So Sophia Stancer says no.
Well, actually, I've got a question here.
All right, yeah, go on.
Okay.
Who's it from?
My name is Michael. I've lived in Scotland for at least 3 years now. I don't have a job. I work in a Indian restaurant. I don't like it there because I don't earn much money. I got a question for you and Bowen. If Scotland was independent, would I get a better job? Would I have to keep working in the Indian restaurant?
Rowan, do you want to go ahead and answer that one?
Well, thanks for your call, Michael. Well, unfortunately, you will have to keep working in the Indian restaurant because there's no easy way to say it, but you're of such low breeding that there's no way you'll get a better job. And I think whether you're in Scotland or England or Wales or Northern Ireland or Gibraltar, you're just not going to do any better than you're doing. I mean, it's just a fact of life. And the only thing that's going to change is if Scotland votes yes, then you'll have even less places to work in.
I would echo that. I don't think there's any more to say about that. I hope we've answered your question, Michael. If anyone else has any questions, please feel free to tweet them in. Rowan, do we have a hashtag?
I don't like it there because...
No, Michael. No, Michael. Just go. Just go.
Yeah, I think we've done our best to answer that.
That's a very nice watch you're wearing, Joshua.
Oh right, thanks. Yeah, it's Scottish made.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't buy Swiss watches anymore.
It looks like it was hewn from the corpse of Sean Connery.
Yeah. So you know people say I like to have a Swiss watch. Well, I just say I like to have a Swish watch. Let's move on. Have we got any more questions?
Yeah, there are a few more questions actually. Let's move on to the next one.
Right.
How's it going? My name's Chris. I used to live up in LA and I moved up to Edinburgh back in 2009. I'd like to know what you think an independent Scotland's going to be like. I think it's going to be great, actually. I think there'll be lots of prosperity, and we've got all the oil now, so we will have. So that's great.
Oh, thanks for that, Chris.
Do you want me to take that one?
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you think about Chris there?
Well, I think there's not really much substance in his question. He sort of left it on a bit of a cliffhanger there, but I'll try my best to answer.
A bit of a Chris hanger.
Yeah.
Sorry, a bit of a Chris hanger.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, I think if I was going to tell you what I thought about an independent Scotland, I'd just simply tell you yes.
Well, the thing is, he thinks that he's going to have a better life, but he's wrong.
Well, the thing is, I know. Do you know why? Do you know why you're right? He's Australian, so what's going to happen is they're going to become independent, and they're just going to kick him out.
Exactly.
So Chris, to be honest, I can't really understand why you're getting so excited about it, because you're going to be sent home.
Well, they probably won't take him back. They won't take him back.
Who? They won't take him back. Well, he'll just go and have to live in London with all the other Australians then.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, thanks for your question, Chris. Don't ever send us another one in.
No, definitely, no, please.
Is that it for questions, or have we got any more?
I think there was another one, but I've lost it.
Okay.
Unlucky to whoever sent that in, because there's not a lot I can do about it. So moving on.
Yeah.
Should we move on to sport?
Yeah, let's move on to sport.
Okay. We don't have a jingle for sport, so I'm going to do this. Dun 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 dun! Sport. Okay. Felix Magath has been sacked.
Who?
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been sacked.
Who?
Red Bull Salzburg have drew 2-2 with Celtic in the Europa League.
Oh.
And Partizan Belgrade have drawn 0-0 with Tottenham in the Europa League.
Are there any Scottish players that play for Tottenham?
Well, are there any Scottish players that play for Celtic?
No.
Exactly. Oh, Everton have beat Wolfsburg 4-1.
Well, that's not a result that you hear every day.
Certainly isn't. Dun dun sport. Okay.
Well, that was good. I think we covered it all there.
Hang on.
What do you?
No, wait. Actually, to go back to sport, there is an interesting story I've read. It's Manchester City chief executive Ferran Soriano has been banned from managing other people's wealth for 2 years in Spain over the collapse of Spania. And this makes me laugh, because you know when Luis Suarez got banned from like all football activities, and he wasn't sort of allowed to train with his family, like he wasn't allowed to play football with his son or anything like that. Like he was banned from everything. Is it the same case with this guy? I mean, he's banned from managing other people's wealth. Is that like completely definite? Like, is he not allowed to, like, you know, oh, Dad, can I borrow a £5? No, I'm not allowed. I'll get thrown in jail.
Yeah, that's a bit ridiculous. Oh, breaking news from the BBC. They say that voter turnout figures are expected to be high. Well, we kind of already knew that.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious, isn't it?
What's new? I mean, if I was Scottish, I'd certainly be voting. And I'd certainly be voting no. What would you be voting?
Are you asking me, or are you asking our collective audience?
Well, our collective audience is one person, so I'm asking you.
Oh, right. Well, I'd quite like to know what our one audience member thinks. Is he there? Can we get him on?
I don't know.
How do we contact him? Anyway, we'll move on. But if we want to know what you think, I don't know what your name is, whoever's listening, but I'd like to know it so that I can address the question directly to you. What do you think of the late Tony Blair? Because he was born in Scotland.
Well, you know, he died during the period between 2001 and 2005.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He did a terrible job.
Well,
so how?
I've
got
in a terrible way.
I've got a question for you, and
What's
this is to you. This is to you, Rowan. How many people do you think are going to abstain tonight? And I don't mean from taking drugs.
Well, I'm certainly going to abstain from taking drugs. And I'm also.
What I meant was, how many people are not going to turn out to the polls and vote?
Probably about 4%, because I've read that 96% are turning out.
Oh, right. That's quite a lot, actually. But then there's only 4 million people in Scotland.
Well, exactly. Nobody goes there because it's rubbish.
Yeah, no, it is. I was thinking today, because people keep asking me, is the world a safer place without ISIS? And of course the answer to that is yes, but I keep thinking, is the UK a safer place without Scotland?
Let me think. Well, maybe. I mean, it's less land to defend. But have you ever heard of the Black Watch?
No.
It's just like a brigade of in the British Army, and they're Scottish.
Oh, right.
They're very well renowned for taking no prisoners. They literally they just kill everyone. So you know they're well hard. So I think they'd be missed from the British Army.
That's dreadful.
But if we think in Age of Empires terms, I mean, less land to defend is always good, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, you just get all those people just sending. You know, when they just keep sending in archers and just taking out your villagers. It's really annoying.
Yeah, that's terrible. Mate, I think there's going to be a Kurdish rebellion because, and I'll tell you why. Well, I'll tell you why, because ISIS today have taken a stronghold in a Kurdish, a small Kurdish town on the. You look like you're about to laugh. But
no, I look a bit like Ricky Lambert.
No, you do actually. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, you do look like Ricky Lambert. No, they've taken a stronghold in a small Kurdish town on the edge of the Syrian-Turkey border. Actually, no, hang on, that can't be right. I don't even think there is a border. But anyway, it's on a border somewhere. And I just think there's going to be a Kurdish rebellion. But I went and got a kebab last night, and I could feel the tenseness in the kebab shop. No one was really saying anything, but you could tell that something was going on, and I thought there must be a connection with my kebab and ISIS.
Well, there probably was. I mean, the meat was probably sourced from the centre of Whitney, and the chili sauce was probably squeezed out of a chili which had been cultivated in the centre of Syria. which is probably why they're called ISIS, because it's ISIS. Moving on, because I think I've had a bit too much wine now.
Yeah.
I mean, by wine, I mean orange squash. If you had to move to Iraq, what do you think you'd do first?
Well, that's a really good question. It's a really interesting question, and I've never been asked it before. But it's one of those questions that I've always wanted to be asked. If I moved to Iraq, the first thing I would do is probably smoke a shisha with some Iraqis and discuss the Iraq War.
Oh, you've answered that very well. Okay. You know, earlier when I asked you what 3 things you'd miss about Scotland.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what 3 things would you miss about Iraq?
Well, that's a really good question as well, because Iraq is going through a tipping point at the moment. I mean, for example, if ISIS take any more towns in Iraq, then Iraq will no longer be Iraq. Iraq will be the Islamic State, as will Syria. So if Iraq disappears, then we're going to miss lots of Iraqi things like Iraqi football, Iraqi television, and Iraqi cuisine.
Can you name an Iraqi footballer? Because I certainly can't.
Yeah, I think his name was Abdullah Kebab. Anyway, let's move on, because I don't think that's correct. But if you want to correct,
the World at 10 would like to apologise for the brief.
Oh, come on. Look, it's not as bad as Kay Burley on Sky News. She called someone a knob earlier this week, live on TV.
No,
she called
someone. Let me hear more. I want to hear more about that.
She so Kay Burley she was outside a protest for the No campaign, or Better Together campaign, for the Scottish referendum. And she was just sort of discussing it, and then a protester came up to her and tried to hit the cameraman with a stick. So she called him a knob and told him to back off. But so then she had to apologise on Twitter, and I read it, and it was just a really insincere apology. And I don't really like Kay Burley, because she's just a prophet of Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah, but they all are. But who are your 3 favourite female Sky Sports News presenters?
I would probably say Natalie Sawyer, Georgie Thompson, although she works for Fox now. Does she work for Fox?
Yeah,
she works for one of the American stations. So she was, and then who's the old one? The old one.
Yeah, I know who you mean, but I can't.
She's a mother of a MILF. Because that would make her a grandmother. Never mind.
Yeah, that one. And because we're an international news corporation, we're not sexist like the Sun or any of Rupert Murdoch's companies. So I'd like you to name your 3 favourite male Sky News presenters, please.
Sky News or Sky Sports News?
Well, either. It's Sky.
Okay, well, I can start with Sky News. I would say that Martin Stanford, I'm a long-standing fan of his.
Yes. Well, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, he hosted. Well, he still does host Sky News at 7:30 with himself, Martin Stanford. It's a pretty good show. It's not the best, but it's all right. I'd then say Jeremy Thompson, who does Live at 5. He's been an outstanding political correspondent for years, and did a wonderful job during the war in Kosovo back in 1999.
Josh, can you take your shirt off?
Oh, is it getting in the way?
I just feel like I feel like I'm not. I feel like we're not giving the audience the full ticket.
Well, I think you're past it. I think you've had your happy hour.
Hang on a sec, Harry, can you
get Rowan a coffee?
come in here. Come on here. Josh.
Harry, I think you might need to take Rowan's
Josh, you've got a
position.
second to pose him a question.
Okay, Harry, what do you think about ISIS?
Gay.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree.
10% gay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the end of the bigoted moment.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
On the world at 10, we're impartial. You see, if this is what happens. Hang on, we've got 2 viewers.
Oh, great! That's good.
If you're very familiar with watching Winning the Toss, you may have been familiar with some very unsavoury, or may not have agreed. On the world at 10, we are very impartial, and we accommodate everybody, and it's fine because there's no place for people like ISIS in the world, and we don't want to be like ISIS, and we don't want to be like Scotland, who are leaving. So that's what I'm saying. Right,
okay, so we've sorry to interrupt you there, Rowan. We just had a tweet in from Ellen Franklin. She's from Manchester, so I don't really know why she's tweeting, but she says, "For better or for worse, only time will tell." # Scottish referendum. Well, that's a bit of an ambiguous comment, don't you think?
It's very ambiguous.
I mean, it's
why would you even bother?
Yeah.
Do you know?
I know. It doesn't really.
What's her name again?
Her name's Ellen Franklin.
Yeah, I think Ellen is sat in the pub, probably with her friend who has a boyfriend, and they've gone out all together, and she sat there, and she's gone to BBC News, and she's just had a quick look, and she's just put this out. Do you know what I mean? There's no thought in it. She just sat there with her friend and her friend's boyfriend in the pub, just typing it out, thinking,
I
completely want to go home. I really want to go home.
Yeah. I've just noticed another tweet from Nicola Unick. I just noticed that in her name, I reckon her name was actually Nicola Nick, but she's just put a U in front of the Nick, because otherwise she'd have 2 Nicks in her name. But now it just sounds like Nicola Eunuch.
Yeah, but why would you do that?
Well, because you wouldn't want to be called Nicola Nick, because then you've got 2 Nicks in your name. Anyway, that's besides the point.
Nicola Eunuch is so much worse.
I know. I see what you mean. Yeah, no, it's awful. She says, "So nervous." # indie ref. # Scotland decides. # Scotland. # Scottish independence. # Scottish referendum. # Scotland the brave. # I voted yes. I'm sorry, but that's too many hashtags.
Well, no, absolutely, and I think she should be banned from the show. And, in the eventual thing that she ever comes on, I mean, it's not going to happen. But
I know it's so. Ron, this is so exciting. We're having tweets in from all over the country. Spacetime 007, he must be a 007 fan, has just said, "What would Scottish referendum mean for James Bond? Is 007 no longer going to be Her Majesty's Secret Service?" It's a good question. What do you make of that?
Well, I've just had a breaking bit of news.
Oh right, go on.
3rd floor lout slams door, possibly in response to warm weather. I don't know if that's talking about me because I closed my door slowly.
Right.
But it might possibly is that's now a new. In fact, at the world at 10, we're always breaking the 3rd barrier. And we're now breaking it in terms of grammar by saying quassibly, and quassibly is a word that means quite possibly. So if something's quassibly going to happen, I mean, quassibly Scotland aren't going to leave the United Kingdom.
Absolutely. If Amy Smith says, "If Scotland don't win their freedom, then Mel Gibson died for nothing." Well, that's a good reference to Braveheart there. And it's all I can say about that is Braveheart's a very good film.
We've got news here from our economist on.
Oh really? Oh, that's great.
Our resident.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. He's saying it's trending. Warm weather is confirmed to be a ploy by the Scottish to boost Iron Brew sales before it all goes to tits.
Oh, so that's what it's all about, and it's all about the Iron Brew.
Yeah, exactly. Because,
Right, yeah.
I mean, nobody wants to lose Iron Brew.
Well, no, it's the Scottish national staple, isn't it? That's all they eat.
But how would any of us get over a hangover without Iron Brew?
That's a really good point. Well, you could switch to dandelion and burdock. That's what I've done, and it's working really well.
But didn't you say it's raining where you are?
It is, because I live in sunny Brighton.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But it's the south coast fighting back.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's like Normandy all over again.
No, it really is. Harold Hardrada, who's he? He's like the Nick Clegg.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And then you've got who was the other guy? Harold Godwin.
Hang on a minute. Sam Ball has just tweeted in. Oh right, okay. This is all adding up now. Sam Ball has just said, follow France 24, which is the French rolling 24-hour news channel, for all the latest on the Scottish referendum as the results come in the morning. Who's going to want to watch French 24-hour news about Scottish referendum? And the only reason he said it is because he's a journalist for France 24.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's just advertising, and that's annoying.
Josh, Stan Collymore has tweeted 15 minutes ago. Scotland, the nation that always gives 110%, like Gordon Strachan. Super, lovely, brilliant.
Let's
never talk about that again.
That's Stan Collymore for you, everyone. Rima Patel says the countdown is on. It's going to be a long night for the UK. # Scottish ref. Well, they probably need a good referee for tonight, don't they, Rowan? Because it could go either way.
Do you know any Scottish referees? I certainly don't.
Well, you've got the likes of
Howard Webb. He came from Yorkshire. That's pretty much Scotland.
Well, he was a policeman in Rotherham. I would agree with that. I think he's.
Mate, can you imagine getting arrested by Howard Webb in Rotherham?
Hang on, Alf has just tweeted: do Scottish people come from Scotch eggs?
Yeah, they're born from Scotch eggs.
Oh right. Well then, I might tweet back and tell him that he's right. Do you know what? I think we should do an ask the audience thing, because the late Chris Tarrant was he was from Scotland, wasn't he? Chris Tarrant.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was.
Rest in peace. So
audience.
The final answer, Chris. Well, unfortunately, it is because you've died.
Exactly. So audience, on your keypads, please. If you've got any questions that you want to send in to us, how many viewers have we got?
One.
We've got one viewer. So audience number one, on your keypad, if you've got any questions, send them in to us. We've got a Facebook page. Rowan's going to post the link out now. Send them in, and we'll answer your questions on the show, and we'll go from there. So. Sorry, I'm just reading some of these tweets. There's some very well, you could say racist. You could say just rude. But I'm not going to read them out because I don't think they're appropriate.
Mate, hang on. I want to ask your honest opinion on this, because don't you think it's a bit toss that only Scotland get to vote on Scottish independence when they're part of the United Kingdom?
Yes. Yeah,
Do you not think that people in England, Northern Ireland, and Wales should be allowed to vote on the fact that? Do you know what I mean? And but Josh, this brings me back to my fucking conspiracy theory, because I don't think the British government would allow just Scotland to vote on it if they think that they're actually going to be able to, because they've rigged it. But I'm telling you now, you're going to wake up tomorrow morning and it's going to be no. And that's because if they really wanted to have a true referendum, they'd allow everybody in the United Kingdom to vote because it's part of the United Kingdom.
Yeah. It's a bit of a tricky one, really, isn't it? Because there's only 4 million people in Scotland, and there's 60 million people in the UK.
Yeah, but how much oil is there in Scotland?
Well, but my point is that if you've got 60 million people that don't live in Scotland, should they really have a right to vote on the Scottish referendum?
Yeah, but how many people do you think are there part of the English Defence League?
Well, probably none.
How many people do you think support Man United? How many people do you think watch Match of the Day?
I'll tell you why no one from the English Defence League lives there, because they all live in Brighton.
What, mate?
Rowan, are you all right? You look like you're sort of fading away there.
Well, I'm fading away like Scottish independence.
That's a very good reference.
Can we talk about ISIS?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, let's talk about ISIS. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, ISIS are. In fact, let's go to some new news because we've covered these way too much.
Okay, we'll come back to Scotland later. We did. Hang on, there's 21 minutes until the polling stations are closed, I believe.
Yeah, that's also 21 minutes until the World at 10 closes.
Exactly.
Have you heard about those people? They've all been given an Ebola vaccine. Have you heard about that?
Well, no, it's this man from England. Basically, all these people in Sierra Leone and Guinea are dying from Ebola, and what they've done is they've sent a whole missionary of doctors over there to save all of these people. And what they've done is they've brought back one man who's English who got Ebola, but he already works for the World Health Organization. So they've brought him back to test him on this Ebola vaccine. But they're not helping anyone else. They're just helping him because he's English.
No, mate. This is very recent. They've literally they've injected 12 people with the Ebola vaccine. The experimental Ebola vaccine. It is very recent. I heard it on 5 Live this morning.
Oh right, have you got it? You look like you've got it.
Yeah, I've had it for years.
Oh right.
No, it's very interesting. But the thing that's interesting is that the conspiracy theorists amongst everybody are saying, oh, Big Pharma has had this vaccine tucked under their belts for years and they haven't brought it out, but now suddenly because there's an epidemic they're going to have to bring it out and all this shit. But it's just complete toss. It really is complete toss because the same people are arguing that these fucking big pharmaceutical companies have a cancer vaccine and they're just suppressing it because they make too much money off cancer victims. But this is bullshit because imagine if one pharmaceutical company came up with a cancer cure. How much money would they be able to make in America or something? It's crazy. It just doesn't even make sense. How much money that would be. So why are they saying that? It's just stupid. And also, there's so many independent, non-profit organisations cancer research and things like that. Just charities which are just constantly trying to find a cure. So it's just complete bullshit. It's just complete bullshit. And the same people probably believe that the fucking Queen's a lizard and, I'm not a great radio presenter.
Yeah, and that Scotland's an independent country.
Exactly.
Mate, we haven't played all of the jingles, and we should probably do that now because you've only got 15 minutes.
But I don't got them? I don't know where they are. I don't know what they're called.
Well, I'll tell you the name of one of them. We've got ISIS. We've also got It's Time.
Okay.
ISIS. No. Scotland. Yes.
But the thing is, it should be Scotland. No.
ISIS.
It should be. It should be ISIS. Yes. Scotland. No.
ISIS. 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 ISIS.
It sounds like hoist in.
Scotland. ISIS.
Okay, that's that. There's also another one called You're Listening, or you are you hyphen you apostrophe R.
You're listening to The World at 10.
Was that it?
You're listening to The World at 10.
And there's another one called Scotland question mark.
You're listening to The World at 10.
Oh, hang on. There's another one called It's Time. Have you got that?
I don't know. I'm just playing jingles for the sake of playing jingles. This is crazy talk. This is crazy talk.
No, that's fine. Well, we didn't have time to fit them in, so it makes sense to fit them in now.
I don't have that one. I don't have it.
Okay. Well, we'll save the Independence Day song till the last end of the show. Let's go back to some tweets because they're all flooding in. Except none of them are very interesting. A bit like the Scottish referendum, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rowan, have you got any breaking news? There must be something coming in from your end.
I've actually got some breaking toss.
Oh, right, go on.
Actually, I don't. Sorry. Sorry.
Well, that was an anticlimax.
I'm trying to look at my notes and realise that actually they were all wrong.
Okay, so Clara Smeaton, I think she might be Scottish. Yeah, she's from Glasgow. She says, after so much excitement and optimism building up to voting yes, I'm now seriously starting to dread a no outcome. Scottish referendum. Well, don't worry, Clara, because you're basically you're right. It will be a no because it's all rigged.
No, it is. It is.
I know. I might have to tweet back and say, "Look, Clara, you're wrong." Well, you're right, actually. Oh, here we go. Okay, so Marie has just hit the nail on the head. She says, pulling random figures from thin air. Again. Hashtag Scotland decides. Completely agree. I think it's all made up. It's all a load of hogwash. That must be a Scottish phrase. Is that a Scottish phrase?
No, but I'll tell you what is a Scottish phrase.
Hang on a minute. This woman, Cherie, she looks a bit like Jodie Marr. She's from Aberdeen, okay? She says, kind of nervous for tomorrow, whatever way the vote goes. Hashtag Scottish referendum. But the thing is, if it goes no, then it's just going to be the same. So why is she nervous?
I think you should present your brandy.
Who?
I think you should present your brandy.
Would you like some brandy?
I like you. Mate, I think you've frozen. I know you were still there. I thought you'd frozen, man. The world at 10.
No, it hasn't. We've got 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, my mistake.
Mate, I think you need to hold it together. You need to hold it together for the nation, for the Scottish independence.
Let's move on to technology.
Right, I haven't prepared for that.
Neither have I.
Well, that's fine because I'll tell you why. That's fine because there's no technology in Scotland other than wind farms. Apparently, there's lots of offshore wind farms in Australia. No, not Australia. It's in Scotland. But no one's really interested in wind farms. We're all interested in the new iPhone 6.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Josh, just talk to me about the iPhone 6. That's a great topic.
Okay, that's a good topic, and I'll tell you why. So basically, Apple, as we all know, have released the iPhone 6 and something called the iWatch. No, the Apple Watch, actually. Which kind of actually really annoyed me because everyone was fooled with that. Yeah. Everyone thought it was going to be called the iWatch, and it wasn't. And I think that pissed everyone off. So now no one's going to buy one.
They will, though. Of course they will.
No, they will. But you know what's really really annoying about this is that okay, so they've released a nice sort of gold iWatch, and it's 18 karat gold. But the thing is,
Yeah, but it's
when you
18
buy
carat toss.
well, but the thing is, if you're going to buy a watch that's 18 karat gold, you might as well pay a bit more and get something that's 24 karat gold. But that's not my actual point. My point is, when you buy a watch, an expensive watch, you kind of want something that is one of a kind in many ways. And if you buy an iWatch or an Apple Watch, everyone else has got one. So it's kind of like it's what it is. It's a functional piece of technology, whereas a watch is a status symbol.
Yeah, I see what it's saying, but to me, you know, I'm one of many men that never wear a watch. I literally I couldn't give a shit about wearing a watch. Like, you know,
Well, the thing is,
you know, it tells the time. I can read that on my smartphone. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So, you know, I'd be like, yeah, I'll get an Apple Watch. That's fine. That's cool. But at the same time, I think what I just said, it's on my smartphone. I don't wear a watch anymore. Back in the day, I used to have a watch. I don't have a watch because it's on my phone. So why would you need to make a watch alongside your phone? Do you know what I mean?
I completely agree, but you know the ironic thing about this Apple Watch is that in order for it to work, you have to have your phone in your pocket, which I think is a bit toss.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like
that's complete. That's really stupid.
You know, that's what I mean. It's not. It doesn't make sense. None of it makes.
You know. I posted out a comment the other day, and I said that because I genuinely believe that the Apple Watch is not the nicest or most attractive piece of technology that Apple have released, and I said I think the Apple Watch is one of the worst design. I think it is the worst design Apple product of all time. And then Nick Miller came along and responded with something like, "Oh, well, you'll have to wait and see," or you know, don't speak too soon. But the thing is, what are they gonna? What does he mean by that? So my question to you, Miller, is
Miller.
Yeah, well, he thinks he's Steve Jobs, but the thing is,
yeah, but he thinks he's Nick Miller. Do you know what I mean by that? Do you know what I mean by that? Josh, do you know what I mean by that? Nick Miller thinks he's Nick Miller.
No. Why don't you explain?
Well, basically, Nick Miller thinks he's the old Nick Miller. Because the new Nick Miller is not the old.
Oh no, I see what you mean. You know, you're right, because the new Nick Miller is all innovation and adventure, and the old one was naughtiness and notoriety.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. We've still got 9 minutes. We need to fill this with brandy.
I'm sorry, but why are you drinking brandy? Mate, I'm going to get out my car and drive to Brighton.
Oh, right. Well, you should probably drive really fast so the police don't catch you.
Yeah. So, we've moved on from technology.
That was a really good topic, though. Why don't we talk about the environment?
Well, I don't really care about the environment. I mean, the environment is what it is. You know.
Yeah, I completely agree. What do you think about global warming? Because that keeps coming up a lot.
Well, I think global warming is complete toss.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. Do you want to explain to everyone why?
Because the Earth has gone through many stages in its lifestyle. You know, it's gone through an ice age, it's gone through a warm age, it's gone through an ice age. You know, that's just what happened.
Okay, so you're saying it's a natural cycle.
What I do agree with is that like CFCs and like halon gases and all that sort of shit is fucking up the ozone layer. And that, you know, that's universally agreed with in science. You know, that we are fucking up the ozone layer. So we've got rid of all this, like, you know, what fridges and, you know, what they're doing and all that sort of shit.
But the thing is, we've got absolutely nothing to worry about if that happens, because so basically the issue with CFCs and the ozone layer is that all the CFCs will destroy the ozone layer, which means we'll all get skin cancer. But that's fine, because then we'll just find a cure for skin cancer.
That's true. The way I'd look at it would be that that's fine because I'll just die of skin cancer, and then I
Well, no,
won't
you
have to
won't
worry
because
about anything anymore.
you won't because you work for the NHS.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, the ozone layer is repairing since they've stopped, they've stopped everything, and actually it's getting better. But at the end of the day, and this is the thing that makes me laugh, because you know George.
I do.
George is incredibly scared of death. Like, he's
Oh, right.
really fucking terrified of dying. And
Yeah.
I say to George, I'm like, well, George, you just die.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I can kind of understand what he's saying, because what he's actually saying is that he really enjoys his life and he doesn't want to leave that.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing afterwards. Unless, of course, you're a Scientologist, in which case you've got nothing to worry about, apparently.
Well, no, you do, because you have to worry about Tom Cruise sort of giving you a slight lift up the stair lift to.
Yeah, and that guy called what's his name, Tommy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a tosser.
Yeah. Giving you a lift up the stairs to Xenon. Is it Xenon?
Oh yeah, something like that.
Zion.
The path of Xylon.
Sounds a bit like a African footballer. Oh no, my head's slipping out of my hand. We've got 6 minutes to go. Let's keep it together, okay?
Hold it together, like the army of the Islamic Revolution. Let's go back to some tweets, because they're all coming in. We're 5 minutes away from the polls closing. Fernando J. Tirado, not to be confused with Fernando Torres, has just tweeted in saying, "I believe in Scotland." Well, you know, I believe in global warming.
Well,
So, you know what I mean?
Scientology.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean anything. So, Fernando, if you've got something useful to say, why don't you?
Hang on. What did he believe in?
He just said, "I believe in Scotland."
Yeah. What's his name?
That's it. Fernando J. Tirado.
Fernando believes in Scotland. Fernando? Who the fuck's Fernando?
Well, who are all these Spanish people?
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Hang on, there's another
They're
one.
being anti-establishment because Spanish said that they don't. Spain said that they don't want Scotland to join the EU. They're being They're being cool. Basically, they're all emo teenagers.
Rowan, I've got to send this one to you because I think you will love this. I'm going to put it in the chat. There we go. Take a look at that.
Oh.
Oh no, she's actually Italian. But even so, all these people, who are they?
Lionel Messi, Alessandro Del Piero, and Wayne Rooney.
Hang on, what are you saying?
Oh, sorry, I just thought you asked me 3 greatest forwards of the last 20 years.
No. I think you just imagined me saying that.
Oh.
Mate, I'm really concerned about ISIS.
Should we have some shout-outs to our favourite listeners?
Yeah, have we got a listener still?
We've got one, but I don't know who it is now.
Oh, right. Well, listener, if you're still there and you're still tuning in to us, thank you so much for tuning in, because it's been a long night and you've done a grand job. We would have loved more participation from other people, but you know, you've stood strong like the pro-Scottish Independence Party. They'll be standing strong this evening, and they'll all be better for it. Or, well, they won't be better together like the other one. Sorry, I'm talking absolute toss now. Rowan, have you got any closing notes?
I'd like to thank Josh Aladina because he's been really good at his job.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, you could say that about Martin O'Neill, but he got sacked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank every nurse I've ever worked with because they're fucking great.
Yeah, I really like the NHS. I think they do a marvellous job at looking after people.
Mate, do you want to
Well,
hear something a bit toss? I
yeah,
listened
sure.
on the radio today that apparently, like, the main NHS union, which is called Unison, is considering going on strike. But basically, all of the healthcare unions are considering going on strike. And like they were like, well, what's this going to consist of? And they're like, well, it might be like a sort of a stage thing where like some people go out and like don't work for a bit, and then other people don't. But like, imagine if like they all went on strike and they all just like stopped working. Like literally, people would die.
Yeah, hang on a minute. You know, I was talking about that.
Would that not be the most threatening or / best strike of all time?
Hang on a minute. You know, I was talking about the lottery earlier. Well, Rowan Martin has just tweeted in, buying a lottery ticket is a risk. Going independent is not a risk. It's bloody stupid. Hashtag Scottish referendum.
Okay, we're on 23:59. I'm gonna give it a wrap up. I'm gonna wrap it up. Okay,
well,
so
put the song on. Put the Independence Day song on.
I don't know where it is. Okay.
Oh, no, you've got to put it on.
I don't know where it is. Okay.
I'm putting it on.
Okay. This is the world at 10. Thanks for coming.